The Boy Scouts of America is a nonprofit organization that encourages scouts to try new things, provide service to others, build self-confidence, and reinforce ethical standards. How can you get involved with our local chapter, and how has scouting recently changed? All that will be uncovered in the next 30 minutes. I'm Christy Breslin, and this is Harford MagaScene. Ken Miller is the Scout Executive and CEO of the Baltimore Area Council Boy Scouts of America. And he is here to talk to us today about our Harford County chapter, this beautiful area that we're at, and how scouting can make a difference for your child and even your entire family. Hi, Ken.
Hi, welcome to Broad Creek.
Thanks for having us.
We are really pleased to have you here.
Now, Ken, who are the Boy Scouts of America today, and why is it so important for our youth to get involved and for their families to get involved too?
I would tell you the Boy Scouts play a real vital role in our community. One of the challenges I face, having been a career professional with the Boy Scouts, is how to tell the scouting story to a parent today of a young child. What's the impact that scouting will have on your child's life? And unfortunately, you really don't see that impact until later in life, when you see the skills that young person learns through merit badges, through leadership, through citizenship, through giving back to their community. That's what we're about. You know, the question I always think about is, what would our communities be like if we didn't have Boy Scouts?
Absolutely. And you know what? I have never met a scout I didn't like, and that's the honest truth. Now, Harford County has become a big scouting community, and there's so many locations out there. Can you give us some of the highlights of the locations that we could visit that the Boy Scouts utilize?
So Harford County is one of 10 districts served by the Baltimore Area Council. And within the Harford district, we have 61 Cub Scout packs, Boy Scout troops, venture crews, and Sea Scout ships. And that totals about 2,100 youth.
Ken, how old do you have to be to become a scout? Is there an age limit, and how old do you have to be when you actually have to graduate from being a scout?
Today you can be a Cub Scout in kindergarten, and you can continue as a youth until you're 18, and then you switch over to an adult. But yeah, it goes on. It's a lifestyle. It really is for so many of our volunteers and youth that join. They stay with us forever.
I know that there's a lot of scouts, as you've said. How many do we have in our region?
Well, registered, about 2,100 youth. You're probably looking at 3,000 registered volunteer leaders. One of the things I always look at is Eagle Scouts, and last year there were 54 young people that earned their Eagle Scout rank, which is our highest rank. But interestingly enough, in Greater Baltimore, we estimate there's about 20,000 Eagle Scouts that reside. What a network. So you imagine as a young person at 16, 17 becoming an Eagle Scout and having that automatic network to connect to.
Now, I know becoming an Eagle Scout is the ultimate honor, but it's a long road to get there, a lot of hard work, but a great payoff. So can you kind of guide us through what it takes to become an Eagle Scout?
So you have to serve leadership in your troop and leadership to others. You have to earn 21 merit badges. Merit badges are a big part of the Boy Scout program, and those are skills that you learn that I promise you will become hobbies, and for many, your future career, because you learn most young people learn more than 21 merit badges, but very defined. Plumbing, electrical work, and carpentry, geocaching, pick one. There's 134 merit badges. So they have to earn 21 merit badges, give leadership to others. Probably the biggest one is they have to identify, plan, give leadership, and execute a community service project to benefit their community. Not the Boy Scouts, but a local nonprofit or a government entity. So on average, those Eagle Scout service projects are about 100 hours of community service. So think of that, 5,400 hours that were given by our Eagle Scouts in Harford County last year. And I'd love to give you a list of all 54 projects. They're amazing. They absolutely are amazing. And frankly, the hardest thing, if you remember as a teenager, try giving leadership to your peers. That's a life lesson.
You have so many programs that you offer. Now, one in particular, Scouting for Food. What is that?
So that's been around a number of years. This past year, we collected council-wide, 5-county area, about 300,000 pounds of food. And I love the program. We hang, the scouts go to the neighborhoods, they hang door hangers on the door and says, we're going to be back in a week. If you'd like to participate, put the food on your porch. We'll come get it. All the food stays local, whether it's the local church, pantry, they decide where the end point is. You know, frankly, I'd like to see us get to about 500,000 pounds of food next year. And I know, talking to the Maryland Food Bank, we're one of the largest food drives in the area. And it's good. It's good to give back to the community.
Now, this location that we're taping at today is gorgeous, and from what you've told me, it's the best kept secret. Talk about it.
So, as I shared with you, I've been here a year and a half, and almost every place I've served in the country with the Boy Scouts, the camps are always the sleeping giant in the community. Broad Creek was established in 1948, so we're coming up on our 75th anniversary. We're 1,700 acres. We are the largest private property owner in Harford County. Actually, the only thing bigger than us are the big parks in the area. So we do about 19,000 people through this, scouts through this property annually. Weekend use is heavy. We've got cabins, we've got swimming pools, everything that you'd look for in a scout camp. But one of the opportunities I see is how to make this available to the community. It's a great resource, and frankly, we ought to open it up and allow more folks to come out and utilize it.
Now, I know that you talked about plans for this particular spot moving forward. What are they?
Big plans. We just completed a $1.5 million infrastructure upgrade where we put a new water, sewer, or water and electric and conduit in the ground. Long overdue, well needed, not sexy, but we needed to do it. The next piece is a wastewater treatment plant, which is $1.8 million. And again, not sexy, but all that infrastructure that maybe had been deferred for a number of years, we're catching up. So once that's in the ground, good things happen. And that starts with 3 comfort stations. We call them restrooms. Rectangle building with doors around the perimeter. You open a door, it's a toilet, sink, and shower. So it's gender neutral. If a boy goes in there, that's what it is. If a girl, if a man, if a woman. So that's a big thing. And flush toilets are not a bad thing for scout camp.
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
Probably the biggest deal, and as I understand it'll be a real benefit to the community as well as for scouts, we want to build a 400-seat dining hall. And that would be air conditioned, and I believe that would be one of the largest capacity halls in the county. And again, another good resource, and allow us to have opportunities to bring our scouts year round and put them in a safe environment when needed.
Now, a lot of changes have been made, so we want to know more how families can get involved, and now girls are involved too. So tell us about that change. When did that happen?
Baltimore Area Council, nothing I did, it was like this when I came, is one of the top councils in the nation for young ladies in scouting. And I think it's just a welcoming area, frankly. We just had our inaugural class of female Eagle Scouts last March, and we had 17 young ladies earn that distinction, become Eagle Scouts, which was one of the largest classes in the nation. We are actually featured on the NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt, great highlight. But girls are looking for the same thing the guys are. They want the experience, they want the high adventure, the excitement, the camping, the outdoor skills. So we think we found a niche, and families are looking for that. It's just busy time. So as a family, if I can bring my son and my daughter to one activity and everybody's having fun, we win.
Now, Ken, for anybody that wants more information, would like to become a part of this wonderful organization, how can we learn more? How can we get in touch?
This is the time of year that we'll go out. COVID has certainly challenged our opportunity to get out into schools. Normally in the fall, we would sign up about 3,000 new youth in the scouting. So this is the moment. Beascout.org is probably the easiest way to get there. It has a map. You put your zip code in, it'll tell you all the packs and troops in your area and who the leader is. The other one I'd tell you, Eagle Scouts, we know there are hundreds of Eagle Scouts residing in Harford County. Absolutely. We're going to find them. But before we find them, I'd love to have any Eagle Scout re-engage, whether it's coming out and helping with a camporee, helping with scouting for food. There's a place for everybody to volunteer in scouting.
Ken, thank you so much. It's been great talking to you. We are so excited. And anything else that you would like Harford County to know about this wonderful organization?
Truly, just remember that Broad Creek's a community resource, and if you have a need, a resource, your church group, school group, anybody would like to know more information about coming out to Broad Creek, I promise you, we'd rather have you in the camp than out of it. Give us a call, and we'd love to connect you. But I know you weren't in scouting, but I thought I'd start you on the trail, so I'm going to give you a Boy Scout field book, and then the next time you come out, we're going to test you on fire building.
Ken, I'll do it. It sounds great, and now that girls are involved, I'm honored. Thank you so much.
There you go.
So speaking of girls being involved, next up we're going to talk to one of the girls that has joined the BSA. Stay with us. I have the pleasure of being with Karen Duffalo and her beautiful daughter, Maddie Duffalo. Karen is the committee chair for Troop 1920, and Maddie is star rank. So what does that mean? What do they do? What is the difference between the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts? We're about to find out. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Maddie, I know that you are a very busy teenager. You have a lot going on in your life. You participate in a lot of things. So what made you want to join the Boy Scouts of America?
Girl Scouts was always, it was fun, but it wasn't like that adventurous. So Boy Scouts was something that like you could do more stuff like rock climbing and caving and mountain biking, all this stuff that you couldn't do in Girl Scouts. So it was like a lot more adventurous for me.
Now, Maddie, if you had to narrow it down, all the exciting adventures that you took, what would you say was the best, the most memorable for you?
Well, one year we went caving, and that was a lot of fun. That was down in West Virginia, and summer camp is also one of my favorite things.
We'll talk about the summer camp. It sounds like you did a lot of exciting things that you're trying for the first time.
So at summer camp, we went tubing one year. There's a rock climbing tower there, so you can climb up and then rappel down. There's also zip lines, and you get to learn a lot of stuff too in some of the classes that you take there. So you take like merit badge classes, and so you take 5 a day, I believe. Yeah, so at the end of the week you earn 5 merit badges, and it's a lot of fun, like learning about the stuff in those merit badge classes. So.
Maddie, what would you say, now that you've had firsthand experience, what would you say to other girls that are kind of undecided about if they want to join the Boy Scouts of America?
I would say it's a lot of fun. It's very adventurous, and you make a lot of friends that you'd be like, I would never see myself hanging out with the people that I was. Like 4 years ago, I didn't see myself as close with them as I am now.
Now, Karen, let me ask you, as a parent, I know you've been involved before, but what made you decide to become so involved with the BSA?
Well, my son is 2 years older than her, and he's been in Scouts since first grade. And she tagged along with him all through Cub Scouts. So we knew that she could do the stuff, and we knew that she was interested in it. So when we heard through the grapevine that they were starting a troop for girls in Harford County back in, I guess it was the fall of 2018, we asked Maddie, would you be interested in joining it? And without hesitation, yes, because she saw all the cool things that her brother was doing and she knew she could do them, nothing holding her back. And so we hopped on board and we helped out with a great group of people to get a troop formed in Harford District. There's now 4 or 5 troops for girls, and we just celebrated our very first Eagle Scout from our troop.
That is a huge accomplishment, huge. Now, Karen, was it because of Maddie? I mean, what really drove you to become a volunteer and give all the time that you have, especially in the leadership role you now have?
Initially, with my son as a first grader, as a tiger den, all the parents met and they needed a den leader, and we all kind of looked around the room like, not me, not me. So me and another mom, we said, okay, we'll do it. So I initially started because there was a need and I wanted to give back, but I've stuck with it and increased my responsibility, I suppose, because I get so much out of it too, giving back to the community, and my kids get so much out of it. And it's just been a wonderful opportunity, and I've made a lot of friends through it too.
Now, Karen, there's a lot of questions. People aren't sure, should I get my boys, should I get my girls involved with the BSA? I mean, with your take, why would you say that they should? What are the positives of it?
What is really nice as a leader in Scouts BSA is that there's so much support as a leader. So whether it's from other adults within your Cub Scout pack or your troop, or if you need to reach out to other troops or reach out beyond Harford County to go to Baltimore or something, there's so much training, there's so much support, camaraderie, and I've made a lot of really good, wonderful, lifelong friends. So that's one of the perks to become an adult leader in Scouts.
Now, Karen, what about joining? Is there a certain time you have to join? Are there requirements that need to be met? How does that work?
So the Cub Scout program is for, I guess now it's open to kindergarten through 5th grade.
Okay.
And then the Scouts BSA program starts in towards the end of 5th grade, and 6th grade is when you can start to join. But you can join at any age between, 10 and 18 for the Scouts BSA in the boys program or in the girls, which are identical. We just happen to have a separate girl troop and a separate boy troop across the county. But they have the identical requirements. What's nice about the program is it can be really individualized with the merit badges, and the Scouts, as they get older, they run the show. So they make it what they want it to be, and the leaders are there to support them. So you can join at any age, you can hop in at any time of the year, and it's a great program. The fall and spring seem to be when most people join, the beginning of the school year, and then in the spring, but you can join anytime.
Karen, Maddie, it sounds like a wonderful experience. It sounds like it's something that so many people would enjoy, and it's a new opportunity. So thank you so much for sharing this with us, and hopefully we get a whole bunch of new Scouts.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Christy.
Well, you've heard it firsthand. These two said, an experience you'll never forget, and new friends to be made all along the way. Much more to come. Stay with us. Our good friend Monica World, the Business Development Director for APG FCU. She's also the Director of Finance for the BSA. She's here to tell us about how she got involved. It's a great story, and how scouting can change our youth. Monica, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure.
Monica, you're such a great person to have in our community, so supportive. And scouting has been something that you've been involved with for a long time. How did you originally become involved, and how did that lead you to the position that you're in now?
Well, it's really kind of interesting. My son was a Tiger Scout, and he went all the way up through Boy Scouts. And so it was fun to watch him and see the difference the program made in his world. And so when I came to work for APG Federal Credit Union, I got asked to serve on what's called the Good Scout Committee, to do a recognition of a member of the community who's being recognized by the scouting for all the good works they're doing in our community. And as I was getting involved with Good Scout, I learned that specifically during COVID, scouting was really suffering financially in the programming that it could do. And when given an opportunity to step up as their vice chair of finance, I said yes, knowing that it had given so much to my world that I wanted to be able to give back. And Credit Union has a philosophy of people helping people. We really believe that when organizations and individuals come together to do good for the community, great things come out of it.
Monica, why should our community and our local business leaders care about what the Scouts are doing in our community today?
You said it first. The Scouts are in our community. They're doing things in our community. They're having impact. And when we can support an organization that does that, we're helping shape the next generation of business leaders or community leaders who come back. And scouting has such great core values, such great principles that they bring into it. They're helping us raise fine individuals.
And in your perspective, why should the business leaders and the community members, why should everybody become involved with the scouting community?
Look at any Eagle Scout who just completed a project. They've learned from beginning to end how to get a job done. You're bringing ready-made skills into your workplace. That's a great attribute. Through all my personal experience, I can tell you when I had an opportunity to hire someone that had been a scout, I always found them to be a great employee. And personally, let me just tell you, I love now that we have girls in scouting. We have girls that are coming into the program as well. We're going to pull through our first generation of girl Eagle Scouts. Watch out, world.
What are some easy ways that community members can get involved?
You can make a contribution. You can make a donation. Philanthropic giving to our Friends of Scouting program will help over 1,200 local Harford County youth. those dollars are coming right back into programming for the local children of our community, which I love. But it's not just about giving financially. Give time, give of yourself. There are so many programs. We need leaders, we need mentors, we need guides, educators who are coming in and working with the young men and women in this program.
If you could put your finger on the one thing that scouting teaches us, what would you say that would be?
Positive preparation and a can-do attitude. That's what you're going to get out of a scout.
Now give me some examples of scouts that have actually started working in our community, that have become part of the business community. What kind of job have they done? How has it worked out for them?
I serve on the board of a local museum, the Havre de Grace Decoy Museum. We have a project in the front of that museum that was actually an Eagle Scout project. They planned the landscaping. They found the money for the project. We were so impressed with, as a board, with this project that we added dollars to it, and so did Harford County government. And there is this beautiful sculpture of geese in flight at the front of the Decoy Museum. That came from an Eagle Scout.
Now obviously this goes without saying, but it looks really good on a college resume.
I can tell you how many of my friends and colleagues are Eagle Scouts because they're proud of it and they take it with them. I've watched young men who have gone into the program and it's made a difference in scholarships. It's when there was a choice of one or two, they were the one I think that maybe it notched them ahead. So finding a way to get involved in scouting is good. I see the difference in my own son every day. He's 28 years old and I can still remember him as a little tiger cub and the lessons he was learning all along. He fell in love with the environment. He's an environmental scientist now. That started in scouting.
Monica, thank you so much. The story about your son, that just warms my heart because that's a prime example of what scouting can do and how it can change our kids.
Thank you.
Now, coming up next, we're going to speak to the Director of Emergency Services and find out how they're involved with the BSA. Stay tuned. Eddie Hopkins is the Director of Emergency Services here in Harford County. He has been a lifelong scout. He has raised 3 scouts and he has also been the recipient of the Good Scout Award. So what better person to talk to about the joys of scouting? Hi, Eddie.
Hi, Christy. How are you?
Great. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Now, Eddie, you have been involved with the Boy Scouts for quite some time. How did you originally get involved and what made you stay involved?
Well, you know, it's interesting, Christy. When I was a kid, I was a scout, but for a very short period of time, I really found my passion in the fire service. But where I really came into scouting is when my 3 boys joined Scouts and then went from Cub all the way through to Eagle. I had a tremendous opportunity to engage with them, interact with scouting overall, and I really just developed this newfound love for another passion that I had never had before. So I got involved through my boys, and by virtue of working with their mentors and their scout leaders, it just pulled me in, and it's been a great opportunity for me.
You said all 3 boys are Eagle Scouts?
Yep, I have 3 sons, and all 3 are Eagle Scouts.
What kind of projects did your boys do, and how did it benefit the community?
They all 3 of the boys had worked on projects that helped parks and handicapped individuals, people with disabilities. They built like furniture and picnic tables and things that would allow the make them handicap accessible, if you will. And then they really loved the idea of parks in Bel Air, so they did some work to upscale and upgrade some of the landscaping in some of the parks in town. So again, for them it all came to be about community service, and they all lived in Bel Air at the time, so they all took advantage of doing something for the town in addition to the citizens.
That is fantastic. I mean, that is such an accomplishment. Eddie, how does your department specifically support the Scouts, and also how does the local government support them?
I'm very happy that County Executive Glassman is 100% behind the scouting program. He allows me to do some things at the Department of Emergency Services that I'm not sure has been done before, and mainly that is there's a number of merit badges that have to do with fire prevention, fire protection, first aid, CPR, emergency management. These are all in my skill sets, so I can bring the kids and the Scouts into the DES Center in Hickory and take them through some preparedness courses, some first aid training, things that will help get their merit badges. And what I like to think, rather rather than reading it from a book, I can bring some real world practicality to the scenarios that shows them what it's like in real world. Because you read a book, it's one thing, but when you live it in real life, it's a completely different scenario.
Now, personally, I don't think they could have picked a better candidate, but congratulations, you received the Good Scout Award. I mean, what an honor, and how does that make you feel?
I was afraid you were going to go there. It's a little embarrassing because it's very humbling, and I am so honored to have been chosen by the Scouts, because the whole emphasis behind the Good Scout Award is increasing the quality of life by adhering to and following the edicts of the Scout Law. And that's things like being obedient, being kind, being cheerful, obedient, brave, trustworthy. Those things that really my parents instilled within me without the benefit of Scout Law. So for somebody to recognize me for this award, recognizing, I guess, my skill sets, I brought a quality of life to the community when I was just doing what you're supposed to do, is absolutely incredibly humbling for me. But I tell you, on the upside, Christy, what it allows me to do is be an ambassador for Scouts. I've been in Bel Air and Harford County my entire life. A lot of people know me, which is good, and allows me to be another front person, or a spokesman, if you will, for the Scouts and help them out. We want to recruit more young men and women into Scouting. We want to recruit adults into leadership roles. And if I can help bring those people in by virtue of what I do and what I have done, then all that much better for Scouting.
Well, Eddie, I've known you for a long time, and I don't think they could have made a better choice.
Well,
well deserved.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. Thank you.
Now, tell me how the Scouts benefit from coming in and learning about the Emergency Services Department. I guess it's so much better having them learn it firsthand rather than, like you said, having to read it from a book.
As I said, when you read a book or you see it on TV, you can visualize it on TV. You can read the words, but until you actually experience the event, it's really difficult to comprehend what you're putting yourself into. It's like, we can talk about this wonderful Broad Creek Scout Camp and how beautiful the woods are, but until you come up and commune with nature, you just don't get it. You really don't. So what I wanted to do, and what I like to do, is by bringing the people into the Emergency Operations Center and having people talk to them, everybody in the real world can explain to them that when you deal with a motor vehicle crash or a tornado, this is what you're going to see, hear, smell, taste, feel. Including, the stuff during the event and what you're going to feel actually after the event. Maybe the joy that you saved a life, or the sadness that you've seen when someone's house was destroyed by a tornado. So that's real world. And I really do think in today's world we have to provide those scenarios to our Scouts and our youth in general, because again, you can watch it on TV, you can read it in a book, but when you feel it is when you begin to get a passion for it and accept it and get excited about it and overall understand it.
Eddie, I couldn't think of a more perfect person to ask this question to because of your experience and how much you've done for Harford County. So here it goes. Why Scouting?
I think Scouting, when they take kids at a young age and bring them into Scouts, they start teaching them all these basic things that most of us as adults today, we just learn from our parents and we assume because it was the right thing to do. Scouts teach these kids what to do, and then they build them. They build their skill sets. They build all of this to a point where they teach them how to be leaders. They teach them how to make critical decisions and be thoughtful and kind all at the same time. And most of all, think about their community. Christy, the more prepared we are, the more we take care of one another, the more resilient our community is going to be. And the more we teach people how to do that, the more resilient we will be going into the future. We don't know what the future holds. We had no idea COVID was coming until 14 months ago. But now we're better prepared for the next one. And the Scouts who've lived through this one and take lessons learned from this will know how to prepare for the next pandemic, God forbid it ever happens, or the next crisis or critical event.
Eddie, always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you. Congratulations on the award. Congratulations on 3 Eagle Scouts. And thank you for doing what you do for our Scouts.
Christy, thank you for having me. I really appreciate that. Anytime.
Well, as you've seen, this is what can happen if you join the Scouts. Prime example here, Mr. Eddie Hopkins. More to come. Well, you heard it here first. As you have seen, Scouting can make a difference for our youth and for their families. If you'd like to learn more and get involved with the mentoring, the lifelong learning, the adventures, the healthy living, and so much more, visit their website at baltimorebsa.org. I'm Christy Breslin. See you next month on Harford MagaScene.